Hi, for today's episode of CEO Talks, we have with us Abhinav, the CEO and founder of Digio. Abhinav, I'd like to start by congratulating you and Digio on completing 5 years in the industry earlier this year. Could you tell us how the journey has been so far?
Thanks for having me. And the journey has been very fulfilling so far because the kind of work we are doing, and we are fortunate enough to do something meaningful, and we have been doing it in a way that we are a profitable business now. So overall, the last 5 years have been very, very fulfilling for any entrepreneur.
So maybe for the viewers, in your own words, could you explain what exactly is it that Digio does?
Right. So we are trying to bring any paper-based or offline process that is happening in the country online. If we think fundamentally, technology has gone so far. We talk about artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, but the ground reality is different. If you go to a bank, the amount of paperwork you do, or like any industry, the amount of non-productive work because of these paperwork is happening is very, very high. And if we think why this exists, the core reason is there's some sort of identity involved in that process. For example, if you are signing a paper, you are showing your ID card, indirectly everything is tied to an identity. So if identity goes digital, the entire ecosystem can be reimagined in the digital world. So that's how we started, and that's how our offerings are around a digital identity. We have a digital signing product, we have a digital KYC product, we have a digital recurring payments product, and that can transform the entire stack when a business onboards a customer. So that's what we do.
All right, that's really interesting. And I believe you guys are one of the first companies to work atop Aadhaar, right?
Right. So yeah, so we started working in late 2015 on this problem statement, and Aadhaar came out very recently at that point, and it was very controversial. The domain to operate in. People did not know it will succeed or not. So for me, it was a very large bet as a career that can I bet on Aadhaar or not, right? So that was the question being asked to me from many investors that what if the other shuts down? So those kind of hurdles we had to get on.
All right. Also, while I was researching for this interview, I came across that you guys were incubated earlier at Rain Matter.
Right.
And how was that in terms of shaping and the exposure that you guys received from your time at the fund?
Right. So Rainmatter is an investment arm of Zerodha. Zerodha is the largest brokerage platform in the country. So apart from the fund, the kind of connect the Zerodha ecosystem has that helps you a lot, and the kind of connects Zerodha's founders Nitin, Nikhil bring in as a value adds. That's very, very high valued than the actual money they put into the company. So far, I would say in our growth or where we are today, that helped us a lot.
All right. So, again, I just want to ponder a little more into this. Is it so? Did they also introduce you to your co-founder, or did you meet him earlier? And do you guys know each other from before?
Yeah, so we knew each other before meeting Zerodha,
Okay.
and when I started in 2015, I was working independently on this problem statement,
Okay.
and when I was trying to raise funds, I met my co-founder Sanket. He was also working on the similar problem statement independently, and one potential investor connected us, saying that you should both look at working together, and then he'll be more comfortable to put money. And that's how we met each other and started working together.
All right. So, okay, again, I'm going into the problems you saw in the market that actually made you come into this industry.
Right.
How has the market received your product, and how entrenched is your product into the market now?
Right. So at that point, it was something new for the ecosystem. Like naturally, everything has to go digital.
Yes.
And when we started, we fundamentally believed that if the country has to evolve, because the population of the country has evolved so much, but not the ecosystem, financial ecosystem. That's why the population itself has become a problem. So how to convert the largest problem into an asset to the country, so that every individual is adding value to the ecosystem. And when we keep thinking about it, you'll see going digital is the very, very important step for the everybody to get connected and be productive. So that's how we thought about it, and that's how we started. And initially, when we rolled out the e-sign layer, uh, and it was kind of accepted by government also. So uh, it gradually increased that option.
All right.
And now we are into entire BFSI of India. We have like 30 or 40 different services, API services. Like you can do KYC, that 10 different kind of KYC is possible. You can do a video KYC, you can show your face, we can match like is it the right person who's doing this KYC or not. Are you showing a photo of somebody else, or are you actually sitting in front of your mobile? So all those things are technically solved. And yeah, so now the adoption has been very, very high. And so far BFSI is the first they have adopted these processes heavily. Now it's into every domain, be it HR, medical, education, real estate, or name any industry. Everything is going digital now.
Of course, especially also given the last year, people were also forced to make a move
Right.
to digital, right?
Yeah.
So again, I was actually just coming to that as well. So how was the pandemic in terms of business? Did it slow down how you guys were operating, or did it actually accelerate the adoption for the product even more?
Right. So we have some of the fortunate domains to get impacted in a positive way because of the pandemic. Now every business has a parallel track of going digital, because it can happen anytime. Even the consumer expectations have changed, right? Because most of the things they are getting at home now, right? So why they should go to a bank, or why they should do any sort of physical paperwork, right? So, and a lot of businesses which went digital timely, they saw huge growth during the pandemic. And the businesses which were kind of completely offline, they faced a lot of issues. So in long run, pandemic has shown the industry there has to be adoption towards digital processes. So it's beneficial for us in long run what pandemic has done to the ecosystem. From loss and profit point of view, there were industries which got negatively impacted, but there were which got positively impacted. So for us, it was kind of a balanced output. But in long run, it's definitely positive for us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your take on remote working, and do you think this is a trend that's going to stay, or a more hybrid kind of a setup is going to come into place, or especially for product teams like yours? Is working in person a very important aspect of it as well?
Right. So it depends on the nature of the work a company does, the kind of problem statement the company is working upon. There are companies who are more execution oriented, then there are companies who are more innovation oriented. So in our case, we fall into the second bucket, where a lot of brainstorming is required, a lot of discussions are required, things are moving very, very fast. Very quick communications are required, quick actions are required. So in that case, I feel the traditional office setup is more important. In some cases, I see that a hybrid approach would work better, where there are discussions but limited discussions, pointed discussions. So those can be done in person, but when people are working independently, they can work remotely. Because even I saw some better productivity in early days when this whole lockdown happened. And not only for some time, like few months, the productivity was very high. And then I felt like now there are things which are getting missed. A lot of innovative discussion that could happen, because the discussions are very pointed when you are doing
Exactly. Also, the fact that not every time in a meeting you may have the brightest of ideas, right? Sometimes it's just like bouncing ideas of each other, like
Right.
between teammates, and that's when you may have a new idea that could actually work, or you could something that you could pursue in the future, right?
Right.
That definitely does help. Yes. So tell me about an instance or project that you guys are working on which forced you to be very innovative.
Uh, right. So the problem statement of the company itself falls into that, answer of that question. The thing we have done as a company itself is something very innovative for the ecosystem. Not something like this was not done earlier before in the country. So the approach we took to fix a larger problem in the ecosystem was to go digital, and the way personally I feel we took the direction was on the innovative side of the solution that are possible to fix those gaps in the ecosystem. Right. So and the output could be 10 different outputs, but focusing on like digital signing layer, which is very very basic thing, but fixes a huge amount of problem statements in the ecosystem. So those are something very innovative we have done so far.
All right, yeah, that does answer my question.
Yeah.
What kind of a person would succeed at your company?
Yeah, so we are very limited number of people.
Excuse me.
So as a business wise and as a domain wise, we own large part of the Indian ecosystem as a service provider. But behind the scenes, we are very small team. So people who are independently driven, who don't need a managerial kind of culture, who don't need people to push them to give the output. Those are the kind of people that succeed in our kind of environment. And yeah, and see, so apart from the main OKR or their responsibilities, if they are independently driven, things can be learned, things can be they can shape themselves with time. But the attitude is a main important factor that we look at in somebody.
All right. Now coming to you, how is it that you unwind after a long week at work?
Well, so I try to travel if there's a possibility. The pandemic has been a huge gap for me in traveling. So, but apart from that, yeah, I try to kind of distract my mind from work if there's a possibility over the weekends, but nothing like specific. I just watch movies, music, and stuff. Then I try to work out if there's yeah, if there's time. That's how it is.
All right. So what's next for Digio now? What are your future plans like?
Right. So we are going to continue it in the same direction. They're in the entire chain. They are, the backend layers of the country. Suppose you are opening an account, there are backend systems also involved. Those backend systems or the central layers of the countries are created by traditional businesses. And the way technology is growing, the way consumer expectations are growing, those are not able to fulfill. So I cannot clearly name them, but they are backend layers of the country which need licenses. That's where we are getting into. There are very innovative stuff happening in the ecosystem. There's something called account aggregator, which allows the data interoperability. You don't have to perform same action at 10 different places. You want 10 different accounts. Currently, it's a 10 different nightmare processes.
Okay.
You do at one place, your data is interoperable between the ecosystem. So those kind of stuffs are happening. And then the kind of work we are already doing on the product layer. So we are going deep into that. We are opening it not only for India, then some other countries also.
That's wonderful.
In coming time, yeah.
Alright. What's the first career you dreamed of having as a kid?
uh, some sort of pilot or something, like somebody who flies a fighter plane or something like that.
All right. I mean, yes, as kids, we have the wildest imagination. So, yeah. Okay. Name one company and a CEO that inspire you and why.
uh, I would say Zerodha and Mr. Nitin Kamath. I I personally know him, and I not only so for others I have kind of distantly know people, and when some business is success, it's not only one person, but it's a lot of factors that come into the success of a company. So before giving the credit to one person, I have to know the person, right? So I know about him, like what is the reason that Zerodha has succeeded, and even when the kind of scale they have reached, the way he is executing is very inspiring for me.
All right. You can have a dinner party with any three people in this world.
Okay.
Who's on your list?
Well, again, entrepreneurs, I would pick. I'll pick uh, maybe Elon Musk. I'll pick uh, maybe Mark Zuckerberg, and then probably Jack Ma.
All right. Um, what's the best career advice you've ever been given?
To me,
Yeah.
so it was not from someone else. I would say it was naturally in me that focus on the learning. Be honest to what you do, and things will automatically fall in place. You don't have to chase something to get you. If you're preparing for something, give you 100%. Be honest to yourself. Be honest to the journey. Things will fall automatically in place.
All right. That's nice. What's the last book you've read?
Last book. So recently I was reading a book called Hard Things About Hard Things. So that's again related to entrepreneur journey and how you execute things on daily basis in a company. So yeah, that's all.
All right. What's the one thing you would put on your bucket list?
Bucket list to do something.
To do something, yeah.
So I have to travel. Like I'm kind of travel deprived, I would say.
Okay.
The amount of travel I want to do, but when you run a company, there are responsibilities. There's a example that you have to set to people. Exactly. So it's not only your personal decision, but you have to think about others. So that is something I want to personally, naturally, do for a long period. Like it's not just for a couple of weeks or so. For a month or for a year, I just want to completely go in traveling mode.
Oh, that's wonderful. That sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. How do you start your day?
My day starts. I try to work out, but I mean I've been an engineer, so I'm tuned for not sleeping early. So that kind of disturbs my entire wake up cycle. I have to I wake up late because of that, because I'm not able to sleep early. So if there's a possibility, I work out and then go back to the working mode. Otherwise, directly get ready and go to office.
All right. If you could meet your 18-year-old self again, what would you tell yourself?
Well, I would say, I mean, you have done great. Continue what you are doing, because I don't have any such regrets in my life. I did start late as an entrepreneur, I would say. I could have done early, but I would say it was right time for me also, when I was confident, when I knew things, how to do things, when I was mentally ready to take failures also in a positive manner. So I would say continue what you're doing.
Awesome. So that's the end of the rapid fire question as well. It's been lovely having you with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And wishing you and Digio the best.
Thank you.
And we'll hear from you soon.
Thank you.